Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with me. We've got a great formation today. Absolutely phenomenal. A phenomenal formation. Yes, yes, it's here. It begins. We are here. We're about to inspire, not expire. Absolutely. You beauty. Absolute populism on Proclamation News and Gatherance with the prodigious, the prominent Professor PNG. Welcome, ladies and gents. Thank you all for actually coming in. For actually coming in day to day basis with a prodigious news. Always flux with a sensation. Sending my habitations across the nation. Thank you all for coming through, ladies and gents, this morning. Like I said, we're about to inspire, not expire. Absolutely. With the Flux News Daily, thank you all of actually coming in together across the border of YouTube. We're calling this media culturalism. Media culturalism. We've got people from across all the different nations. Thank you all for coming in. I respect all ethnicities coming through. We've got Big O TV, we've got Castbox FM, and we've got YouTube and Instagram, all the others live, all at the same time. Thank you. God bless. If you are listening and you can understand my English, I'm so thankful. I'm very unfortunate I can't speak any other language because my academic integrity is English and political database. Also, other than UK politics, we have no business like show business. Here we go. Many people come by, they pop in and they go off, but I'm thank you for the guys listening. Talking about coronavirus, eviction. The eviction, when you get evicted, evicted, I'll be with you 2 seconds, Claire. I hope you're well, girl. I'm just doing my journalism on YouTube, Castbox, and I'll be with the audience doing some bit of entertainment. My crazy singing voice to entertain people as always. Hope you good, girl. I've got about half hour journalism, and I'll be with you. Please favourite me as well. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, coronavirus eviction ban to be extended by 4 weeks. Um, Ministers have extended the ban on landlords evicting tenants in England until September the 20th. Following warnings that thousands could lose their homes. From Monday, courts were due to resume cases paused for 5 months, owing to coronavirus crisis under stricter rules. Now they will remain on hold for further 4 weeks. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer described the move as an 11th hour U-turn. In a letter to the judge's master of the rolls, Sir Terence Efferon said that, having expected the end of a ban on Sunday, the proposal had been of an extremely unusual nature and timing, but would allow further work to be done to prepare for the ban to be lifted. One landlords group described the move as unacceptable. How evictions work: tenants get a minimum of 3 months notice of eviction in England and 6 months in Wales, until at least 30th of September, compared to the 2 months before the coronavirus outbreak. Only after this notice period is up could courts theoretically hear a case in England and Wales. Eviction notices have been served, but the court decisions have been put on hold for the past 5 months. The government is now planning for courts to resume hearing cases in England on September the 20th. In Scotland, a 6 month notice period is proposed to be next to be extended to March, subject to approval. The Scottish Parliament laws in Northern Ireland include 12-week notice period. SNP's Dominion, isn't it? SNP's Dominion, Nicola Sturgeon, is prioritises over the Scottish government. Very worrying. David Batchelder, 35, was laid off from his job in pest control at the start of lockdown, and is typical of tenants struggling with their finances owing to the economic fallout of the pandemic. He lives in a flat in High Wycombe with his partner, who works as a building company receptionist, and at the moment is a stay-at-home day to 1-year-old daughter Miley. The fall in income and reliance on benefits means he is worried about the future. In all honesty, benefits are not enough and just do not cover everything, he said. In difficult times, there is a possibility that we could end up losing our home. We'd like to know that we've got somewhere secure. Thank you, Claire Daly. Appreciate that. Is anyone else suffering possible loss of their home? The landlords have been very good so far, but they can only do so much. And if there was another coronavirus wave, it will be very worrying as to that might happen. A survey by homeless charity Shelter suggested that more than 170,000 private tenants have been threatened with an eviction by their landlord or letting agent, and 230,000 in England have fallen into arrears since the pandemic started. I mean, it's very, it's very proportionate that we all, some people listen in, some people don't come listening. But you know what? Everything in politics happens in our day-to-day life, as you can see. This is people getting eviction from their own home. Happened to me many, many times. I'm not sure if you're all been in the same consequences some time in your life. Maybe at this prior moment. Polly Neate, Shelter Chief Executive, said it is right for the government not to lift the ban when it risks exposing people to eviction and a threat of homelessness with no means of defence. I mean, is it public austerity could by all means make you lose your home because you can't afford the bills. The government must use the short window of time wisely to put proper safeguards in place of renters. I mean, you can imagine people going through mental health as the lockdown's on, struggling to get kids to school. Parents are pulling their hairs out. I'm not a sort of parent to have any struggle in life, as I am a parent, supposedly. Anyway, still, you know, my situation is not to be exaggerated over my journalism because I want to keep it professional. But that's another matter. It's been dealt with. Health bodies had warned the homelessness of moves to overcrowded accommodation could risk higher numbers of COVID-19 infections. Politicians have now called for more than a late extension to the ban. Labour leaders Mr Starmer said such a brief extension means there is a real risk that this will simply give renters a few more weeks to pack their bags. He said Prime Minister Boris Johnson has stuck his head in the sand for months, adding the ban should not be lifted until the government has a credible plan to ensure that no one loses their home as a result of coronavirus. The former Conservative Communities Secretary Lord Pickles told BBC Radio 4's World at One that the ban should be extended into next spring. He said periodic extensions were pointless without further legislative action to give tenants more security. Unacceptable. Lawyers and landlords groups have said that after a ban expires, there has been little expectation of people who have faced the COVID-related financial problems being swiftly told to leave their properties. Ben Beadle, Chief Executive of the National Residential Landlords Association, said a blanket extension is unacceptable, especially so close to the deadline. This announcement satisfies no one. Landlords have been left powerless in exercising their legal right to deal with significant arrears unrelated to COVID-19, antisocial behaviour and extremely disruptive tenants who will make life miserable for their neighbours and housemates. Private landlords cannot expect it to foot the bill for government failure. In Wales, tenants who have fallen into arrears are being aided with a savings scheme. Landlord groups have called for more help in England to reduce the financial pressure on landlords, in addition to mortgage holidays. Anyone that's going for financial differentials in this public austerity, you can only imagine them losing their home, being stuck in a homeless shelter. I reckon a homeless shelter um, has risen, in population. Absolutely, it must be flooded with homeless people. Advice for tenants: anyone under threat of eviction should start gathering evidence such as receipts for rent paid or any communications with your landlord. Landlords have to give you notice before they can apply for the court for a possession order. For most tenant types, this notice must now be at least 3 months in England or 6 in Wales, but lodgers may get less notice. This really relates to me, the subject, because I've worked in a homeless shelter. You see people really in danger in their life where they've suffered the consequence of mental health, driving themselves under by alcoholism and narcotic abuse. And you see them suffer. I was trying to help them, but I didn't want to go down the same route. You show your compassion by supporting these homeless people, but you can also show too much compassion, have a weak heart and weak mind, and go down the same hill. So I quit the job before. I would never participate because I'm headstrong, but part of me thought if you're going to throw yourself under the bus. They give me another lifeline to put a roof over your head, and you're still drinking for mental health. You got to fix up. It's a time to wake up and think, smell the rose. I've got a roof over my head. I've got bread. I've got food and water. A roof over my head. It's time to bet yourself. Time to realise your mistakes. Time to fix up and move on. So I'm not gonna, discriminate any more than that because some people suffer in life and they can't get out of their predicament they're in. So as each to their own devices on that mannerism. Anyway, if a possession order had already been made against you before 27th March 2020, thank you, Claire Days. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, in a possession order had been made against you on 27th March 2020, then your landlord may apply for this to be enforced when the ban comes to an end. You could receive 14 days' notice of an eviction date. Anyone now struggling to pay rent should speak to their landlord and organise a repayment plan to pay off arrears. Those receiving housing benefit or universal credit unable to pay rent might be able to get a discretionary housing payment from the local council. I tell you what, trying to get a discretionary housing payment of local council, oh, it's not easy. It is not easy. I've applied for it. I mean, we all have gone certain predicaments in life. You want a little bit of extra support where you need it. Especially my health it's got to be. I've suffered with Raynaud's disease. Maybe to a Mayo Clinic to find out facts. At a minute, I'm getting fiction off the doctor because he's not sent me to the correct department to get my test done. I don't believe because I found out I am Caucasian, so therefore I've more likely got sickle cell. I bet someone behind closed doors are bending the rules because someone with sickle cell can be Caucasian, which I am by rights. Anyway, ladies and gents, Claire, thank you so much. I'll be with you just shortly. Let me just finish this radio cast. Got another about 20 minutes to go, I reckon. Who wants to be the millionaire? We're not going on to showbiz. No business like show business. Who wants to be a millionaire? Gets first UK jackpot winner for 14 years. The next series of Who Wants to Be the Millionaire will see a UK contestant win the jackpot for the first time in 14 years. The currently unnamed contestant answered all 15 questions correctly to become the show's sixth champion. Okay, Dole. Speak soon. See you in a bit. Host Jeremy Clarkson said he was in awe and believed them to be the best entrant in program's history. This series was filmed without a studio audience, meaning the Ask the Audience lifeline has disappeared. Instead, contestants have been able to use the phone a friend option twice. The new series of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire will begin on ITV next month. The best ever, Clarkson said. Well, I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted that we found someone who seems to know just about everything. I can't wait for the viewers to see it, and I want to watch it back too. He continued, I was just in awe of this contestant and think they're probably the best the show has ever had in 22 years' history. It was a joy to sit and watch it unfold. Clarkson had also hosted the Grand Tour. Said the contestant wizarded through the 15 questions, and all of a sudden confetti was falling from the ceiling, and I was saying, "You just won £1 million." Imagine winning. I think if I was under the knife, if I was under the knife of, it is under the knife to me because you've got all this anxiety. You're in front of an audience. You're gambling for money. You're under the knife, so to speak. Your heart's racing. You think, "Am I going to get this question?" My mind would go absolutely numb. Although when I'm watching it, we can answer probably 9 out of 15 questions quite comfortably. But you're under so much pressure when you're in front of a camera, in front of an audience, and you are the contender on the show. I wasn't sure they would get through to utter those immortal 6 words, and I'm not embarrassed to say it was a little emotional, but boy, did it feel good. But some were puzzled by the decision to announce the winner in advance of an episode broadcast, suggesting knowing in advance was a spoiler. I understood why ITV have been told everyone that this has happened, said ITV critic Scott Bryan. One fan replied, "Speaking as a regular viewer, this kind of ruins it for me. Part of the fun is the anticipation. And when you know it's going to happen, it's ruined." But the Daily Mirror's Showbiz editor Mark Jeffries tweeted, "My guess is one. I think They thought it might leak too. They're hoping it boosts ratings and people tune in every night for the whole run to make sure they see the winner. We're talking about the previous winners now. Previous winners in May, retired Dr. Andrew Townsley from Glasgow came close to the jackpot but walked away with 500,000. Ingram Wilcox was the most recent winner of the top prize, taking home 1 million 2006. I mean, that is the latest winner before this guy has just won. So, taking home 1 million 2006. In all, five contestants have previously won the 1 million prize on the UK version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That does not include Major Charles Ingram, who bet hit jackpot, but was later accused of cheating in the infamous coffin scandal. His story was recently depicted in the ITV drama quiz. The show First Who Millionaire was Judith Capel in November 2020. The other champions were David Edwards in 2001, Robert Bridges 2001, Pat Gibson 2004, and Wilcox 2006. Mr. Snipes is back. How you doing, buddy? Back in the business. You back in the business now, Snipes? You back to the game? I'm just doing my journalism, buddy. I'll be right with you. I tried to ring you a couple of times, make sure everything's going well. Wish you all the best, and I hope we're back on track. Boris Johnson threatened with legal action over Russia's threat. I did try and ring him out. You're well. I just carry on doing journalism. I'll be right with you. A group of politicians are threatening legal action unless Boris Johnson orders an independent investigation into Russian interference in elections. The letter signed by Green MP Caroline Lucas and Labour's Chris Bryant follows a report which said the UK badly underestimated the Russian threat. Are you still hosting? Are you still hosting, Snipes? After I finish, I'll give you a call if that's okay. Let me chat. The parliamentarians argue the Prime Minister's lack of action breaches the right to free elections. Oh, okay. You back? You back full time, or is everything going well now? The government, as previously said, is fully aware of the threat. In July, Parliament's Intelligence Security Committee published a long-awaited report into Russian activity in the UK, included disinformation campaigns, cyber warfare, and the targeting of Russian ex-privateers in the UK. It claimed that the government made no effort to investigate Russian interference in 2016 EU referendum and called for immediate action, including an assessment of the potential Russian interference in the Brexit vote. US intelligence chiefs have accused Russia of interfering in the 2016 presidential election, and earlier this month they warned that China, Russia, and Iran were among the countries seeking to influence this year's vote. Now, a group MPs of peers in the UK say they will take the Prime Minister to court if he refuses to take the essential steps to protect future elections. Last resort. Describing legal action as a last resort, the letter urges the PM to order an independent investigation of Russian interference with the democratic process from at least the 2016 EU referendum. Mr. Lucas, the Green MP from Brighton Pavilion, said the democratic process are clearly at risk, and it seems that integrity of our elections is being deliberately undermined. And Mr. Bryant, the Labour MP for Rhondda, said the government's refusal to investigate a complete dereliction of their duty to keep us and our way of life safe. The group also includes Labour MP Ben Bradshaw, SNP MP Alan Smith, the Lib Dem Purse Lord Strasburger, and Baroness the Wheatcroft, who resigned from the Conservative Party last year. Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab has called on Russia to dentist from its attacks on the UK and our allies. Responding to the Intelligence and Security Committee's report last month, he said the UK would be resolute in defending its democratic process and values from the hostile states. The Russian Foreign Minister called the report Russophobia. Ladies and gents, no business like politics. UK politics, we've had a great discussion, interaction with the audience on Castbox FM, Big OTV, going straight into the deep deep south of politics. What we're waiting for: Brexit, UK, EU trade deal seems unlikely, says Michael Barriner. He's not in the know, so don't take it. Only take it with a pinch of salt. Everyone has their voices. Everyone has their opinions. A post-Brexit trade deal between the EU and the UK and the EU seems unlikely at this stage. The bloc negotiator instead. He's possibly right, but we're hoping to get through by, well, they're saying it ends by December the 31st. Speaking after last round of talks, Michael Barriner said that he was disappointed and concerned. His UK counterpart David Frost spoke of little progress amid differences on fisheries policies and state aid rules. The EU has said it would like to agree a deal by October so it can be approved by the European Parliament before the post-Brexit transition period expires. Transition period ends on the 31st of December, and if a trade deal has not secured by then, the UK would have a trade with the EU on WTO World Trade Organization terms. This means most UK goods would be subject to tariffs until free trade deal was ready to be brought in. The UK has said it will be not extended talks if an agreement cannot be reached by the December deadline. In a statement released after the seventh round of talks, Mr Frost said the EU and had made it clear unnecessarily difficult to make progress by insisting on differences over state and the fisheries. It had to be resolved before substantive work had to be done of any area of negotiation, including of legal texts. Looking at the complete sovereign control, the absolute sovereign control, in a bid to break the deadlock, the UK has presented the EU with a draft legal text for a free trade agreement. Mr Ford, who reports directly to Prime Minister Boris Johnson, said the UK was seeking a deal which ensures we regain sovereign control over our own laws, borders and waters. We were never expecting a big breakthrough this week, but the frustration separation expressed publicly in both sides underlines how tough reaching a meaningful deal will be over the next 6 weeks. For the UK, it's a frustration that the EU is not willing to commit to paper areas of agreement until the big stumbling blocks, fishing and state aid, are overcome. For the EU, it's a frustration too that the British continue to want the benefits of the single market. For UK haulers, for example, without paying the membership fee and signing up to its rules. Amid the talk of disappointment, time waste and lack of compromise, both sides insist they do not want a deal. I'm told the latest round of discussions were quite courteous and friendly, with a warmth between the two chief negotiators facing each other. Even if each is delivering an uncomfortable message, they've been sitting in the other's gaze, but hardly seeing eye to eye. When the EU accepts this reality in all areas of negotiation, it will be much easier to make progress, he said. The senior UK negotiation official added that as the deal was still possible, but not that easy to get there. They also they also said it was frustrating that the EU says Brexit means Brexit, yet they want us to continue arrangements as though we were still an EU member. Frustrating, they want us to move towards their position on fishing and state aid before doing anything else. Wasting time. Speaking at a press briefing in Brussels, Mr Barnier accused the UK side of wasting valuable time, suggesting the draft text was useful by downplaying its significance in reaching any agreement. Too often this week it felt as we were going backwards, more, th- more than forwards, he said. Given short time, given the short time left, what I said in London July means true. Today, as a stage, an agreement between the UK and the EU seems unlikely. While there have been progress in energy and cooperation, participation in union programmes and anti-money laundering, on a subject of access to the UK and EU fishing waters, there had been no progress whatsoever. He also said that EU's demand for a level playing field. One of the other sticking points in negotiations was a non-negotiable precondition to grant access to our market of 450 million citizens A level playing field is a trade policy term for a set of common rules and standards that prevent business in one country undercutting their rivals and gaining a competitive advantage for those over those operating in other countries. The EU has an insistent there should be a level playing field for workers' rights, environmental protection, taxation and state aid. The next round of talks is due to begin on the 7th of September in London. I need to be more around the perimeter. I need to be inside more often, more so than often. I need to be in there day in, day Westminster every single day of the week. It's what I love to do. I enjoy producing good news. Stonehaven derailment. Train had reached 72.8 miles per hour. The train which derailed in Aberdeenshire, leaving three men dead, had reached almost 73 miles per hour before it hit a landslide, a reporter said. We can go through it again. We had it the other day. I'm going to talk about it again. It's the stuff that we need to remember, not stuff not to be forgotten. How lucky we are today as living through compassion. This is why we can think, count our lucky stars we're alive. Driver Brett McCullough, 45, conductor Donald Dinney, 58, and passenger Christopher Stutchbury, 62, died near Stonehaven. Six others were injured. The train derailed following the heavy rain last Wednesday. An initial report by the Rail Accident Investigation Branch said its speed had reached 72.8 miles per hour, 117.1 kilometers per hour. The RAIB said this is with a maximum permitted of 75 miles per hour, 121 kilometers on a stretch of the line. The report confirms that the incident took place at about 09:38 a.m., just a few minutes before the first reports reached the emergency services. Investigators said all six vehicles of the train derailed after it struck a landslip 1.4 miles northeast of Carmont in Aberdeenshire. 9 people were on board, a crew of 3 or 6 passengers, describing conditions at the time of the crash. The RAIB said there have been thunderstorms in the area with 52 millimetres, 2 inches of rain falling within the space of 4 hours. This is about 70% of the total monthly rainfall, which could be expected in Aberdeenshire August. The high-speed train with 2 power cars and 4 carriages have been operated at 06:38 service from Aberdeen to Glasgow. It was initially stopped at Carmont at 06:59 after the northbound train reported a landslip further south. On the section of the track between Carmont and Lauren-Seacirk. After sitting at Carmont for more than 2 hours, it was decided to move the train back to Stonehaven to allow passengers to get off. The driver was given permission to move north at 09:25, moving at 5 miles per hour initially, and was crossed on to the northbound track, but by accelerating 70.8 miles per hour. I'm not going to bore you to tears the Aberdeenshire accident. Absolutely, we should remember it and not be forgotten and count our lucky stars that we're here. Hearts and condolences should go out to all them people suffering in that incident. I just wanted to make you aware once again, going over some things close that's not even, it's history, but still close in our minds, close in our hearts. I'm sure we're not all selfish and don't see things. Oh, well, I was going to tell you about I was just about to tell you about what just happened again on the eviction ban. It's been extended for 4 weeks. Some things we don't need to repeat. I literally just a bit more closure, a bit more closure. If you could share and subscribe to Proclamation News and Gatherings, PNG, Proclamation News and Gatherings, whichever, whatever you want to call it, we'll have it as how you pronounce it, no problems. Proclamation News and Gatherings. If you want to speak in tongues, it's no problem. We appreciate you as you appreciate me for doing what I'm doing. We're going to look at UK tourists face new quarantine deadline race. UK tourists face new quarantine deadline race. It's important. It's important into everyone's day today regime that we listen to UK politics, see what's going on in our daily lives. Coronavirus. UK tourists face new quarantine deadline race. British holidaymakers who wish to avoid 14 days quarantine face a race to get back to the UK before new coronavirus travel kicks in. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said on Thursday that those arriving in the UK from Croatia, Australia, and Trinidad and Tobago will need to self-isolate. There are currently 17,000 British tourists in Croatia, according to the country's National Tourist Board. The changes apply to anyone arriving after 04 BST on Saturday, but UK tourists returning to Portugal no longer need to self-isolate after the country was added to the UK's list of travel corridors. The Portuguese government welcomed the changes and said the move allowed for an understanding that the situation in the country has always been under control. Meanwhile, the Scottish government had added Switzerland to its list of countries requiring quarantine. Speaking about latest additions to the quarantine list, Mr. Shapps said he was understood of the inconvenience involved, but said that it was just a fact of this summer. The Transport Secretary also said testing for coronavirus at airports to help reduce quarantine time was under active review. But he told Radio 4 today's programme, I don't want to offer false hope by saying it's just as simple as a test at the airport, because it won't tell you what you need to know. Airport tests on arrival would only pick up a very small proportion of people who had the virus without symptoms, he said. And as a follow-up test would be needed around a week later. In the meantime, people would still have to quarantine. There are also issues around ensuring a second test was actually taken by the quarantine person, Mrs. Shapps has said. Mr. Shapps, MP of Hatfield constituency, I tried to get a job in his office. Unfortunately, I don't think he took me, likely into his office. Not quite sure. I'm very professional mannerism. I'd love to work in nothing but work in my local MP's constituency in his office. I'm very academically quite proactive in a lot of things. Liam and Jodie, a couple from Keighley, West Yorkshire, paid about 800 to travel home from northern Croatia via Munich before the quarantine deadline after finding it possible to book a direct flight in time. There wasn't an alternative. There are no flights from Pula to the UK on Fridays. Only a flight from Salzburg to London once, but obviously that was fully booked. Liam, a mechanical engineer, said. He added that the only other flights available had stops in Spain, which are already subject to the UK's quarantine rules. The latest updates to the quarantine list comes after thousands of British holidaymakers made a last-minute dash to get home from France last weekend before the measures came into force. The country has continued to see a sharp rise in the number of virus cases, with more than 4,700 reported on Tuesday, the highest level in 3 months. Over a 2-week period, the UK recorded 20.9 coronavirus cases per 100 people. 100,000 people, according to the European Centre of Disease Prevention and Control. In comparison, Croatia had 41.7 cases per 100,000, Austria had 30.8, and Portugal 27.8. BBC News Europe correspondent Gavin Lee had said, British tourists are mainly staying in the coastal region in the south of Croatia, near Split of Dubrovnik, as well as the western coast around Istria. Coronavirus is selected holiday destination confirmed per day, cases per day, each country on a separate scale. Igor Pokas, the Croatian ambassador to the UK, he told today's programme he has urged the UK government to make a more nuanced approach to travel quarantines. He said that coronavirus spikes in Croatia were concentrated in certain regions, such as the capital Zagreb, but there was only a very low few cases in destinations popular with holiday-making Britons, such as Dubrovnik and nearby islands. Mr. Shapps said there's a case of regionalisation and the government was looking of how to be effectively included by having different rules in the country's island. But the Transport Secretary said they were concerned about how detailed regional data was in other countries' individual islands. He also said regional approach is to be harder to implement on the mainland, where people could potentially travel between areas with differing quarantine rules. Refugee struggle. We're looking at refugee struggle. The consumer group which said the change in the rules for Portugal was likely to come too late to help many struggling holiday companies and called for support in the travel industry, which the travel editor Rory Boland said the changes to the travel corridor list made it too risky for those who are unable to quarantine to travel. He added the holidaymakers who want to follow government advice and avoid non-essential travel to specified countries and find it increasingly difficult to claim a refund. Many airlines continue to operate flights and refuse customers the opposition of a refund, then change denied watering fees to those who try to rebook, he said. Will I get my money back if I go on holiday? No choice. But Charis Hipkiss, 20, from Sturbridge, but near Birmingham, told the BBC she and her family had no choice but to remain on holiday in Split, Croatia until next Thursday, meaning they will have to quarantine. The holiday was going well until yesterday. We're all going to be missing out on different things now, she said, adding that she and her parents want to get back to work. We've got no choice. It's to say like a race to get home, but there's no race. There are very few flights. They want us to charge us nearly £200 each on top of what we've already paid, and they're 30-hour flights. Mr. Hipkins, who works as a carer for university studies, added they have already faced a difficult decision about whether or not to come on holiday, which they booked before the pandemic took hold on the UK. I mean, you're going on holiday for holidays, if you get an extra holiday, it's a bonus. The Department of Transport has advised people in Croatia, Trinidad and Tobago and Austria to have follow local rules and check the Foreign Office website for further information. I mean, you're going on holiday for a holiday, so they're saying you can extend your holiday for another further 2 weeks. Then you're going to sit there and moan. Well, why go on holiday in the first place? You know there's pandemic lockdowns in place. You know you could get locked in. Why whinge about it? Trying to get extra money, suppose. Something to whinge about, something to put another claim in. In a statement, it urged employers to be understanding of those returning from those destinations who will need to self-isolate. Imagine you're on holiday, you get fully inclusive, and you get to say, you sit on holiday for another 2 weeks, you've got no food to pay for, you're on an all-inclusive holiday. Sun, swimming pool, free ice cream, free food, and a whinging. But the children currently on holiday in those three countries will now miss the start of the new social term in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, unless their parents can get them home before 04 BST on Saturday. I wish I took my laptop and I got locked in and I had free Wi-Fi. I could be locked in Turkey for 4 months, 4 years. I'll be well happy because I still get my study done. People who do not self-isolate when required can be fined of up to 1,000 in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. In Scotland, the fine is 480 and up to £5,000 for persistent offenders. BBC Balkans correspondent Guy Delorney said only a small number of direct flights from Croatia were due to reach UK before the deadline of 04 BST on Saturday. UK introduced a compulsory 14-day quarantine for arrivals from overseas and in early June. But the following month, the four UK nations unveiled lists of travel corridors detailing countries that were exempt from the rule. Since then, it's periodically updated that list, adding and removing countries based on their coronavirus infection rates and how they compare with the UK's. UK provides the largest number of overseas tourists to Portugal, with more than 2 million tourists visiting every year. Travel expert, travel expert Simon Calder has tweeted that the cost of flights from Manchester to Faro on Saturday morning had risen from £50 to 98 in the last 30 minutes. Ladies and gents, it's PNG Proclamation News and Gavin with the prodigious appointment professor with the Flux News Daily. Thank you all for coming in. Absolute splendid, ladies and gents. A 40-minute preview of bona fide conservatism. Genuine, traditional, flux with the daily news, the prodigious, the prominent professor. Over and out. Tea shaken, not stirred. Thank you, Bob. See you soon. See you on the other side. One love. God bless. Take care. Yes, yes, Carl